So now that you have the box, now that you've practiced the tricks, we have to build a show. So I'm going to use the Marvin's Magic Kit to talk about how I build a show. And so if you're watching this and you've already done magic, know that it's not particular to these tricks, but teaching how I set up a show and how I build a show, I can use all these tricks to show you that, right? So again, these are the tricks for the Marvin's Magic Show kit that I suggested, that I have all the tutorials. And we're going to talk about how I would build a show with this and how you can build a show with this. The first thing I do is I figure out which I think are my best tricks, okay? I might not know that later. I mean, I might have to do 10 shows to figure out which ones get the best response. But the goal is to pick the ones you think are the best, the top 2, all right? So conventional wisdom is that you do your top trick, your best trick, your most impactful trick last as your finale. And there's some good wisdom to that. But I also think you need to have your second best trick, the one that you like the second best, and maybe even just one you like, but the one that seems to get the most response. And that's the one I'm going to do first. I'm always going to do the second best trick first because you want your audience to be on board. You want them to laugh. You want them to have fun. You want them to love the show from the first trick. So that's why you want a pretty powerful trick as your second trick. Now, the other things you want to take into account is you want to mix things up. You want to have a trick where you have volunteers and a trick where you don't have volunteers, and tricks where you have a volunteer and trick where you don't have a volunteer. And then usually at some point, you know, a couple of tricks in, I'll do a trick where you have 3 or 4 volunteers, and then, you know, back to without. So most of my tricks have a volunteer, and if they don't, they'll also have call and response with the audience. You know, let's all say the magic word. Everybody wave your hand to say the magic word. 1, 2, 3, abracadabra. Bawana iguana. Happy birthday. You know, whatever you want to use as your magic word. So then the other thing that you want to be aware of is, how do your props go together? How do your tricks go together? So I put this show in the order that I feel is going to be, I don't know how I would do it, right? I don't know if it's the best way, but it's the way I would do it. And I'm going to teach you that order and why. I also typed out a PDF with the show order and some things to remember. That'll be in a link right below the description of this video. Okay, it'll take you to a PDF of what I call, you know, what I consider a good show order and some other notes. Okay, and I'm going to tell you all of those right now. So I have a video in my my Dooney signature show routines. I think it's the first video. It's called My Opener and the Pin Dropping Routine. And I'll put that in a link at the end so you can go to that. So the thing to do when you open a show is you just don't say, okay, here's my first trick, right? You start by getting a call and response going with your audience. Hi, my name's Dooney. Everybody say, hi, Dooney. Everybody says, hi, Dooney. Are you having a good day? Yeah. I said, are you having a good day? Yeah. So you notice that even rock and roll guys do that, right? They get the audience calling and responding back and forth. So you want to start that early. And then the second thing is that I do this pin dropping routine where I get a kid to help me. I drop 1 pin, and then I drop 2 pins, and then I drop 2 pins after that accidentally. And each time they're laughing, and each time we're clapping for the kid. So I'm going to suggest you use that. Okay, we're going to use the escaping blocks. The block that has the escaping blocks in it, and use that exact trick. Whoops, that was tricksy. Use that exact trick for the escaping blocks. You'll bring somebody up, and I think I suggested using a tray to have them dump it out on a tray. Well, I'm going to say this time, have them dump it out on their hands. Hold their hands like this and dump it out. And then drop one. and then they'll pick it up and then drop another one, and then they'll pick it up and then drop two, and then they'll pick it up and maybe drop the whole set as their finale of that part. So watch how I do that with the pin dropping routine, and listen to the tutorial on that, and go with that same idea with this trick as your opener. So the reason I do that, the reason that that's valuable, is it gets the kids laughing. It's audience participation without, making it audience participation. But it also sets up that it's going to be silly, that I'm silly. And also, see, comedy comes not in doing what you say you're going to do. We're going to do a magic trick with this. But it's all the silliness that happens in between when you start it and you actually do the magic. That's where comedy comes, the surprise silly parts. So the dropping routine is a surprise silly part from the beginning. Okay? I also forgot to mention that one of the tricks I learned along the way was from a guy named David Ginn. He wrote a book called Kid Biz years ago, and it's pretty dated. It doesn't really hold up, except for there are a couple of chapters on things like take advantage of every step along the way. Okay, so when I bring a kid up, I don't just go, "Hi, good to see you, let's go," right? It's, "Hi, what's your name?" "Alice." "Nice to meet you, Alice. Are you Alice in Wonderland?" Use their name, right? "I love Alice in Wonderland." Everybody give Alice in Wonderland a big clapping hand, right? Another thing you can do is, "How old are you?" 5. "Oh, you're 15. And then everybody's like, no, she's 5. He's 5. And I'm like, "Oh, you're 5? I said, "How old are you again?" 5. "How old is that one more time?" 5. "Oh, he says he's 55. See, I would have never thought that, and then they laugh, and then, "Oh, I get it. You're 5. I'm sorry. Another kid comes up, Jenny, "Great. Are you married or anything like that?" No, of course they're not married. It's a silly thing. So don't just gloss over that. Use that as a silly time, a funny time before you go to the trick. That's what makes shows good, is that in-between magic business. Okay? So anyway, I'm going to say do the block trick first, and have them hold their hands like this, and so that when you dump it out, it falls into their hands, so that when the two escape, they fall into their hands. All right, you can even stand behind them, reach your hands around them while they're holding the hand, and dump the blocks into their hand. Right, that would be a really nice visual. I do this at the end of my color changing silk routine, where I do it around the kids. So that would be a really good thing. Also, wrap it up, of course, with giving them a big hand of applause, right? Let's give them a big hand of applause. So also, the way I pick my volunteers in that video is very important. I tell my kids to sit quietly, hands in their laps, big smiles on their face, quietest sitting kids in the whole bunch. The reason I do that is when they get crazy, I say, "Okay, it's time to pick a volunteer," and they will sit down quietly, hands in their lap. You might have to repeat that, hands in your laps, big smiles on your face. And later on, you might go, holding your breath, crossing your eyes, to add silliness to it, right? But the idea is that whenever you want, you can tell them to sit down and be quiet, basically. You say you're going to pick a volunteer. Even if you're not, you say, "I'm going to pick a volunteer, quietly sitting, hands in their laps. But first, let's do this trick." And then you go straight into your trick, but you got them settled back down again. So don't forget that setup too. It's all in that video about the opener and the pin dropping routine. The second trick that I'm going to suggest that you do is the coin, okay? The coin box that reappears over here, right? Way over there, right? This is one of those where the props work well together to flow from trick to trick, all right? And it's also one of the other techniques that magicians do. I am going to set this up for the bunny trick later. And I also am going to suggest that you use this time to say, "Oh, don't worry, guess what? I'm going to bring out my bunny at the end. It'll be so much fun. Her name is Trixie. Wait till you meet her." you set that up way early in your show. You can even set it up in the opener or right now. Okay, if you pull out this, it might remind you. And the idea is that now the kids are excited about seeing the bunny. All right, they may think they're going to see a real bunny. They'll be a little disappointed when they see that Trixie's a painted bunny, right? But that's okay, because the trick is still very powerful at the end. And you never said, I'm going to bring out a live bunny. You said, I'm going to bring out my bunny later. I'm so excited. Okay. So anyway, I've set that up. Now I bring out the coin box. Now I bring out this, and I do the disappearing, reappearing coin. Okay. Now this leads me right into my next bit. This is also a bit that doesn't use a volunteer up on stage. So the first trick used a volunteer. It used everybody to say magic words and all that kind of thing. This trick just uses the kids to say the magic words, okay? Or wave their hands. There's still kids participating, but nobody up on stage with you. So anyway, I've done the trick, okay? The coin has disappeared. Let me make it disappear. And it reappeared over there, all right? So now what I do is I bring it all together, and I'm standing there and I say, all right, I'm going to need another volunteer. Pick somebody, and again, when you're picking volunteers, yeah, I got this out of the Kid Biz book, right? Don't just pick all blonde-haired little girls, Pick a blonde-haired little girl, and then a Latino boy, and then, another, you go girl, boy, girl, boy. You definitely want to pick different races. You want to pick different ages. And so change it up each time. All right. So anyway, I bring them up, and I give them the box. And I say, I want you to examine that box. I want you to feel it. I want you to look it out. I want you to put the top up and down. I want you to check that box out. And then they start checking the box out. While they do that, I'm just going to put this away. And you go to your box and you put that away. And you might even say, are you checking it out? Show it to everybody. Show it to the audience. Now, while he or she is doing that, what you're doing is putting the bunny rabbit inside this frame. You're loading the bunny rabbit inside this frame. And let me just slide this back over, bringing the coin back out. So you're pretending you're going to put that away. But what you've really done is load the bunny rabbit for your next trick. And you want this to come out. So you come back and you stop while they're doing that. And before you go back to the audience, you go, oh, you know what? I forgot. We need this trick for the next show. And you shake it. Is the coin still there? Yep, the coin's still there. And you set that in full view of everybody. Okay? So this stays in full view of everybody now on. And in their minds, it's exactly the same box as before. It's got the coin in it, just like before. And you're wondering why the coin reappeared in there. Because you had a coin in here that you took out and you stuck it in there. So it's the same coin, right? There's no double coin for them. It's just went from here to there and then back into there. Same coin. But anyway, it's not the same box, right? I've set it up for later. There's now a bunny rabbit in there, and there's a coin in there. And what I'll do is when I open it later for the bunny rabbit, I'll drop the coin out and put it in my pocket or get rid of it. But it gives the impression that that thing is empty now. It had a coin in it, and now it's empty, right? So that's another thing we do as magicians. We set things up for later, right? So anyway, that's why I thought these props would go together so good. Okay, so now we're to here. And the other thing I'll do while I'm at my kit, while I'm setting that up, is I'll bring out the block. And I might even give this to my helper while I go put that on wherever it's being visible, right? I give that to my helper and I say, I'm going to set this someplace where you guys can see it. So now the only reason I went to my bag was to put that thing away, and I changed my mind, and to get the block. That's all the audience thinks. Gives me absolute justification for doing what I'm doing. So now we do the X-ray block routine. Oh, I can't see it. I can't see it, right? And we find out that it's the one, and we say, everybody give Frank a big clapping hand. Way to go, Frank. And what you do is you now are going to use the block for the number changing routine. Okay. And you dump that, you dump the box, and you bring out this. And I always bring it out flat. All right. So we're going to use this. Okay, it is kind of crazy. Let me just stick this in my pocket. I want you guys to all see that it's empty. Is it empty? Is it empty? It's flat. I mean, it is flat, but it's also empty, right? Now what we're going to do is take this, and here's the routine I figured out. I didn't put this on the tutorial, and that's why I'm going to show it to you now. We're going to take Alice's number 1. Whoops, see how it slides in there? Everybody see how it slides in there? And what happens is it comes out always on top, number 1. You know, that's a good number, right? That's not my favorite number. My favorite number is number 4. That's my favorite. I don't know. And I could say something like I had 4 kids, or, you know, I'm an older guy, so I can give a reason why 4 is my favorite number. 4 is my favorite number. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put 4 in here. All right. I know, Alice, you liked 1. All right. But I like 4. 4 is the best number. And you'll see that 4 comes. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's supposed to be 4. Okay. Is 4 on the, I must have put 1 in. I apologize. Is 4 the number that's there? Yeah. Okay. Very good. Now you'll see that 4 comes at top just. Alice, your number's too strong. Okay, stop thinking about number 1. We're thinking about number 4. All right, there we go. Number 4. It slides in, and there we're going to show you what comes out the. All right, I tell you what. I'm going to do number 5. Sliding. Everybody say Looney Dooney, give me some extra magic. All right, and you will see that the number at the top is the number 1 again. I give up. So I intentionally, so what I know is whatever number they pick in the x-ray, say they picked 6, all right? I'll show 6 a couple of times going through normally, and 6, if you tip it towards the audience, that will be on the top. 6, show it to them, tip it, that will be on the top. That will be on the top. All right, 6, and that will be on the top. Do that 3 times at least to solidify that nothing happens. Now I can choose any one of the numbers that are connected to the 6. Any one of the numbers. Say I choose 5 as my favorite number. All right. If 5 is my favorite number, I just set it up where 6 would like be facing the audience, and then I tip that 5, and you'll have to practice this to make sure it's right. So when it makes the turn, that 6 will always come up. So with practice, I could do it with a 5. I could do it with a 4. There's 4 numbers around the 6. See, that's a 6. I could do it with a 2. Make the change. It's a 6. So any of these 4 numbers that are attached to the 6, I can put in and turn into a 6. So, you know, the goal of that is solidify that number from the trick before, number 1. He picked number 1. What a great number. But it's not my favorite number. But you do the 1 3 times, so it shows the 1. My favorite number is 4, and then it turns into the 1. Oh, wait a minute. My favorite number is 4, turns into the 1. Oh, stop thinking about it so hard. My favorite number is 4. Oh, I can't believe it. All right, fine. So that's 3 times. Then I'm going to do a different number because 4 is not working, and I want everybody to help me. Everybody say Looney Dooney. Everybody say abracadabra. Everybody say Bawani Iguana. Everybody say pickle soup. Whatever you want them to say. And I picked a different number, and everybody's going to expect it to work because we're saying the magic words. When it turns into their number one more time, you get frustrated. And when you're frustrated, that's called magician in trouble. Okay? Clown in trouble, magician in trouble. Kids love that. They love you being in trouble. And so be upset. Act childish about it. And when you do that, they're going to be laughing their butts off. And then you give up on that trick. Boom, you're done. You know, your number, and give credit to the kid. Your number is too strong. You did too. I can't do it. So you like that? I love that. I think that'll be a great routine. Goes right into the number changing box. All right. Now we do the earthquake cards. Okay. And the earthquake cards, again, use a helper, right? It's completely different. You bring out the magic wand, you do the earthquake cards. It's a completely different thing. Whole different feel, you know, because again, that was a pretty simplistic trick in a way, but the comedy came when you're frustrated, right? But the earthquake cards is so visual, so different, completely beautiful. And it does have a helper. Once again, helper, no helper, helper, no helper, helper, no helper. And then we go to, but now here's what I want to do is talk about the earthquake cards. Instead of just having one helper, have 3 helpers. Again, we do the rule of 3, right? So instead of just having one kid mix it up and pick one, you give it to one kid and you have them mix it up. Then mix them all up. You give them to a mom or dad. Now you've got a kid participant, and now you're bringing in a mom or dad. You have them mix it up because they're good at mixing up cards. And if they mix up the order, they turn them upside down, just say, hey, do me a favor, straighten all those out for me so they're all straight. Mom and dad will do that. And then you go to the 3rd kid and have them pick a card, and you'll have that kid come up. So instead of just having 1 volunteer, you have 3 volunteers. Kid mixes the card, parents mixes the card, kid comes up and picks a card. All right. So again, that's why I love that trick, because now you can add more kids. All right. Again, a technique you can do for any trick later on. And then the final trick is the disappearing bunny rabbit and the reappearing bunny rabbit. Right. And again, I've already set this up. Right. And I also, I didn't show you how to hold this early in that when I was doing the tutorial, but definitely use this. Definitely hold this. It's a much better visual than putting it on the ground or anyplace else. Okay? So hold this. You got this beautiful visual. The bunny's here. You know it's here. But before you get to this, you go back to that. All right? You say, oh, yeah, that's right. I need that. And you pull this out and you prove that it's empty because you take the coin out and you stick it in your pocket. And now you prove it's completely empty. This is completely empty. This is completely empty. Like I said, once again, I'm going to leave it up here because we don't need it for now. And trust me, man, that is going to be so powerful later because they've seen it empty. They know what it does. The coin's gone. It's empty. Then when you make the bunny disappear from here and you come back, you do the discussion, you talk about how good they are, you do the discussion, and suddenly, abracadabra, the bunny reappears. Whew, that's powerful good. That's powerful good. Sorry, I dropped it. Anyway, grand finale, big clapping, Trixie's back. You can kiss Trixie, you can put her back in the frame, and give yourself a big hand, give me a big hand, and we're done with the show. So now you've got a complete kids show. You've got the beginning, middle, and end. You've got silly bits of participation in between. You've got audience helpers. You've got tricks that fit together. You've got a frustration, a clown in trouble bit. You've got a powerful show, right? All out of this one kid. But again, all of those bits, call and response, the dropping routine, the using of volunteers, the tricks where the props fit together, the setting up something for later, the callback, that's called a callback, where you go pull something back from the something you set up before. This preset for your next trick in the middle of the show while you're doing the show. All of those are very advanced magic techniques. So that's why this is good for anybody building a show. Okay, so have fun. Now get in front of people. You know, go to preschools, go to the playground, go to your family, you know, your neighbor's kids. Practice this in front of people because you have to practice sight lines, you have to practice audience response, all of that stuff. But trust me, with the few shows in, usually for me it's the 3rd show. When I'm doing a new show, it's rough on the first one. When I'm doing a new show, it's pretty okay on the second one. Usually by the 3rd one, I'm ready to go. Right? So it may take you 3 or 4 shows to get comfortable, 3 or 4 shows, but trust me, each show you're going to be more comfortable, you're going to get better laughs, you're not going to rush, because remember, slow down. So anyway, we'll have a lot more discussion about all of this, but good luck. I hope you're off and running with a magic show now, and Don't forget to check out the link. There's a PDF, there's the coaching site where I can help you build a business, and then there's my memoir, which is all my stories of working as an entertainer for so many years. Have a great day.